Hello, welcome to another episode of Anatomy of a Turn, the Blood Bowl series where we talk about some thoughts and decisions behind a single turn of Blood Bowl. As always, this isn't meant to represent perfect Blood Bowl, it's just a learning exercise. Try and talk through some things, see what was good, see what was bad. Okay, so here we have another game in the Water Bowl NAF tournament series, Resurrection Blood Bowl, 6 skills each here. So I've got my Dwarves with my Diving Tackle Death Roller, 4 guard and a leader, and here I'm playing some Pro Elves, and they've got a lot of dodge, wrestle and a block. Go over here. Okay, so it's my first turn. The Pro Elves decided to try and run down the sideline, score quickly, and then hopefully get the Death Roller sent off and not have to deal with him. And so on my turn, the first thing I'm thinking about is, okay, they're probably going to score, and that's fine. The worst case scenario here is that I turn over and then the elves get to stall for another turn, because there's a real risk that if they get to stall for one more turn, they can get all these players at the back involved, and they get to stall for 3 or 4 turns, and then I'm in real trouble. Dwarves don't want to be scoring in 3 or 4 turns, even 5 sometimes against elves. So my main priority here is to get enough players back and around so that the pros are tempted into scoring. So as a result of that, I'm just going to do some no dice roll actions first. Stand up players where I can stand them up. Move these guard players in. Yep, there he is, around there. And then move this run around here to block off the direction that they can score. So the secondary plan is, once I've done some simple actions that hopefully scare the elves into scoring if things go wrong, I'm going to start planning for what goes right. And with that, I can get the Diving Tackle Death Roller stood next to the ball. A couple of go for it, but at this point I've given myself a safety net of probably forcing them to score if it goes wrong. So what I can do is I can blitz this guy out of the way with the Troll Slayer and then move in with the Death Roller. I'm still doing my safe moves at this point, and this is where I made my first mistake. This guy should go here, and we'll talk about that later. And this spot is fine, even if this guy moves to where he should have been. Okay, so now we can blitz the catcher. And lucky enough we get him over, that's great. And then we have to do another go for it. This is my second mistake. At this point, I'm not thinking, things are going okay, and I'm still thinking about worst case scenario, where I should now start changing my thought process and start thinking about what if everything goes right. And in this case, what if everything goes right? What if I put the Death Roller here and mark the ball? What are the elves going to do? Well, they're going to pass the ball. And who are they going to pass it to? One of these players, probably the catcher. So I need to start thinking about pressuring the way that the catcher can get out. And that's why this Dwarf Blitzer should be here. And this Troll Slayer should go for it to here, to make it even harder for that catcher to get out. I had to do a go for it there that seemed needless, because otherwise the Death Roller can't actually get the path through, because he needs to go through this square, and that's where the Troll Slayer was stood. So I've taken a passive route. I've moved the Troll Slayer there just to double bank along this line, but that was never going to happen. If the Death Roller goes there, if that works, then the elf is never going to dodge through this line. He's not going to take a 6-up dodge to get past the Death Roller. He's always going to come backwards, so I don't actually need that guy there. He can be there. If I fail to go for it and the Death Roller falls over somewhere over here, I'm in exactly the same situation. This is not going to be the easiest route. What the pros will do is try and block these 2 guys away and then hand off on a 2 to the catcher who'll just run through this line, this gap here. Which is why this Dwarf Blitzer should be here. So we'll just go on and see what happens. Okay, and lucky enough, I do get the 2 go for it. Okay, we'll just see what happens with this turn from the elves. Okay, so there's a reroll used, and suddenly we're in business. The elves have got to make a couple of dice rolls without rerolls to score from this point. Yeah, so that is a pass inside the zone at 3-up without a reroll. And then that's a touchdown. Now, that's fine, but the important thing to notice that the mistakes that were made earlier have allowed that touchdown to happen. So I didn't plan enough for the possibility of the Elves rolling badly. I was a bit passive. I just thought, oh, they're probably going to score, so I'll just make sure that they are forced into that score. Where if they've been a slightly more aggressive, move this dwarf player here, notice the dice rolls, and then suddenly that Elf isn't running through this gap. Where's he going? He's not going anywhere. So little simple mistakes, like one positional error there has decided that touchdown. And it's tempting in this situation to say, oh, my opponent was lucky, rolled a 3 with no reroll, etc. But actually, the dice were irrelevant. I could have made that position impossible for him to, well, not impossible, but very, very hard for him to score. And it was a decision that changed it rather than the dice rolls. A couple of things I forgot to mention. Why did I put this blitzer here rather than the better spot here, as I mentioned in the video? Well, my thinking at the time was that I wanted to stop all of these Elves joining back in and moving quickly into my half, and I was just trying to block off this area of space. As you can see, it's not really a great area to come through with the Elves here, and with this guy here I wanted to form a little wall here and stop the Elves rejoining. This was to prevent the stall, and in hindsight maybe that I would have been better off just going all out to stop the touchdown. Another thing I didn't mention is why I put this blitzer here rather than here. Traditionally you might think having 2 guard players next to each other is a stronger position, but in this case I want to stop the Elves from coming out into this part of the pitch, and if the blitzer's there then there's a gap for them to come through. The runner has to be here. That's a better position to lend the assist and also block progress. So in the end the dwarf blitzer goes there, and this guy can be blocked anyway. Any of these guys can come up and assist. So hopefully you enjoyed that video and there was something of value there, and see you again next time.